Cheers.
Morning. Excuse me. That is my chair. You have stolen my chair. Get down. No. It's starting to smell like winter.
It is.
I know it's fall. I get that.
For us it's winter.
I feel like winter and fall are the same thing. I feel like fall is the start of winter.
Winter is coming, if you've ever seen Game of Thrones.
I've never seen it.
Oh, well, fall's here.
I've seen one episode of it.
Was it the naked people?
There's a lot of nudity.
Yep.
A lot of sexual intercourse.
That's, dragons?
No dragons in that one.
Oh, you missed the dragons.
Just people dragging their balls. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a bad joke.
It's not even 7 o'clock yet.
I know, it's way too early for things like that.
Wow.
You walked into that one, though. That was you.
Wow.
Hey.
My feet.
Hey, Scotty.
Morning, Chief.
Not much, you know.
Alrighty.
I haven't had coffee yet. I feel like I always forget to take my sip of my
Yeah,
coffee.
wake up there, Bubba. What's going on?
I got chapstick on, though. And when you take a sip of something with chapstick, it leaves residue.
Do you have flavored chapsticks?
Like I'm not putting like Dr. Pepper chapstick on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or like
remember
my little soda chapsticks, but they're not flavorless.
Okay. What's your chapstick flavor?
Honestly, they're just like they're hand-me-downs. I don't know. Someone gave me it was new.
Oh, I was like, you're just using
But
random...
like someone had one and they gave me one. In like times of desperation is where I pick up.
Got you. So that's where all my chapsticks
I think it's like
going.
some coconut something Burt's Bees.
That's mine.
Maybe you gave it to me. Maybe you were the person who hand-me it down.
I don't think I gave it. I think I probably left it and then...
No. I know I got that one from someone.
Oh, well then...
No, I wouldn't just take someone's chapstick. I'm like also a little weird on chapstick like
Hey,
that.
if I leave it on the counter, it's all yours, Bubba.
I ain't trying to get cold sores, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't carry those. So, but let's... Now that we're on the topic of chapstick, I've always wondered this. Do you ever finish a chapstick? I don't think...
All the time.
I don't think I've ever finished a chapstick in my life.
I
lose them.
I had a Blistex in there. Shout out! That I've just been finger scooping around that little thing in the middle. Like, there's not a room for a finger in there.
Mm.
It looks like this. You know what I mean?
Little fingers.
Yeah, even with the little fingers. I can't even fit them in there. And I got the last little bit.
I don't think I've ever finished a chapstick in my life. I either lose them, or I wash them. Have you ever made that mistake? Washing
All the
a
time,
chapstick?
and then it gets all over your clothes.
Exactly.
The wax.
The
stains.
worst thing... Does anybody know how to get those stains out?
Yeah, don't put chapstick in the washer.
Oh, that's not really how you get them out. That's why you don't start with them.
Well, if you don't start with them, then you don't need to get them out. So technically, I solved the problem.
Fact.
We got a lot of cool things today. You know what I did do? I wrote down roughly 10 issues that perspective can fix. Like I said I wanted to do.
Okay.
I did it. We're going to get into that last.
Okay.
Some of them are really dark, too. And
Okay.
and I'm just... Whatever, we'll get into it. We got a lot of couple cool things to get into. I don't think I'm going to...
A lot of couple cool things.
A lot of couple.
We've got a lot of couple cool things.
Some things we can get into all in different orders. I want to start with mental junk food.
Mental junk food.
When I heard this phrase for the first time, it's been years, it resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
What you put in your body is what you get out.
Yep.
It's how your body's going to look. It's how your body's going to feel.
Yep.
What you put in your brain.
Yep.
It's how your brain's going to think.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, mine's not thinking very well yet.
You're up.
Yet.
Mm-hmm.
What about Europe?
Europe?
You said Europe.
I said Yerp.
You said Europe.
Yerp.
What part of Europe?
Yerp.
Erp.
Erp.
Like California, the city.
Yep. Or derp.
I'm just trying to wake up. I'm just doing some brain exercise. And no, I think that's a really, really, really good concept, especially with the dilemma of how much we shove our fucking faces in our phone every day. And I think everyone should ask the question, like, what am I consuming mentally? Am I consuming junk food or am I consuming healthy food mentally?
Mm-hmm.
Am I listening to the news every day?
Mm-hmm.
Or at all? Am I on social media all day? Am I following all these people that make their lives look super fucking dope? So that's all I'm consuming and that's all I'm comparing myself to, blah, blah, blah. I think that's just so important in 2022.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like what we talk about in the fact that, you know, you can even take it back to the people you surround yourself with or the people you become. And the things that you hear constantly, the things that you're constantly pouring into your system, the things that you're constantly around, you're ultimately going to start to believe. You're ultimately going to start to, like, sway in that direction just because it's so burnt into you. And especially as, like, a younger person, you know, I think that this could go for, you know, parents watching, but it can also go for younger kids or younger people who are watching us. That, you know, if you're around your kids, you're influencing them. So whatever you're taking in constantly and they see you doing, they're going to start doing that. And they're going to think it's okay. And so if you're constantly bombarding yourself with negativity through social media, comparing yourself, whatever it might be, with all of the junk and all the crap that's out there right now, your kids are watching you do that, and they're going to become smaller versions of you and ultimately turn into you. And then even going further in depth with that, you're becoming what you're watching. And then you are resonating that with everybody else that's around you. And so you're ultimately becoming a part of the problem yourself.
Correct. I think it's deeper than that. Like, I think the kid thing makes sense. That's just a parent's, I feel like, duty is to just keep themselves in check so that their kids, to their best of their ability, right? Not everyone's got everything together, but you are a role model now, so you need to be sure.
I'm not.
You're not. No.
Well, I have you.
You don't have kids.
I have you and Kiki. And
you wouldn't understand the dad life.
True.
You have me and Kiki.
I have you and Kiki.
But I think the mental junk food thing applies to parents in the sense that they should get their mind right. Mm-hmm. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it comes all the way down to mindset. It comes all the way down to everything, right? You have someone who's... We were talking about anxiety and depression the other day. Mm-hmm. It's like someone who's anxious or depressed. It's like, what are their thoughts? Your thoughts directly correlate to how your body feels. Mm-hmm. We had that other talk the other day. I don't remember who said it. It might have been Huberman who said this, but maybe not. I don't want to give credit to the wrong person, but it was, you cannot physically think bad thoughts and feel good things in the same way that you cannot think good thoughts and feel bad things. Mm-hmm. Meaning, if you're thinking good thoughts, you will feel good. That is how the brain works. That's how the body works. You cannot go around it. Okay. And if you think about it, it makes sense. You can't have good thoughts and be feeling like shit. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, dopamine.
And so how your brain is feeling is how your entire body is feeling, mm-hmm. how your entire consciousness is feeling. And so if you're consuming all this negativity, you will feel in some negative regard. Like, mm-hmm. that's just how it's going to play out. And so people... I know a lot of adults, especially, because this is part of their generation, where it's like they feel like they need to know everything that's going on in the world. And whether or not they do is, I'm not going to make a call. I'm fucking 23 years old. But from my perspective, it is net negative in the end how shitty you feel consuming all. I mean, the news, I also think the news has gone downhill. Like, there's no, right, that's a broom. There's no positivity in the news.
No.
Which I think is really cool. Have you ever heard of Some Good News that the guy from The Office started?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a news outlet that shares good things
yep.
and cool things. Is a genius concept. Again, you consume something like that, you're going to feel good. Mm-hmm. You're going to think good things, and then you're going to feel good things. Mm-hmm. You consume the news, you're going to feel like shit.
Probably.
That's like the McDonald's of consumption.
Probably.
Of mental consumption.
Also, let's talk about the things like in the news. Like, you never really know what's real and what's not real. That's...
Everything's based on an agenda these
days.
And
it's also overly dramatized to get a rise out of people.
Using propaganda.
Using everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And so it's, not to say that you shouldn't keep up to date what's going on and keep yourself informed, but getting attached and addicted to it is a completely different story where you get and I just thought about this, how scary and how sadistic it is. You almost get a dopamine rush from the negativity.
Yeah. Which it's almost turning negativity into some weird, fucked up, twisted positivity.
Yeah, which is not good in any sense of the word. So, yeah. No.
I've also found it crazy that influencers and actors and people within the entertainment space online push the agenda of politics and news all the time. And I'm not talking about people who just voice their opinion. People who push it. Like, I've seen people recently doing ads, getting paid by the fucking White House to put things out. You're following and promoting the same fucking people that you should understand. Mm-hmm. I have a very good understanding of how, and I'm sure many of my colleagues and you, mm-hmm. Of how shit works behind the scenes when there's money being made. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with the internet and YouTube and fake pranks and fake channels and all the drama and the bullshit. The shit that everyone to the consumer level looks real is almost all fake on the back end. Mm-hmm. It's all production, it's all creation, it's all, I want to say the word, fake drama, fake bullshit. We should have a really good understanding of how the government works because it's driven by the same thing. It's driven by clicks, views, money, all of it. It's how much attention can we get on a subject that will make certain groups of people money that run this shit. Mm-hmm. You quote that shit by Jordan Beau. And I always find it ironic that these people on social media don't understand. It's like all the news is trying to do is do the same shit we're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's been proven. I mean, there's people who've come out who work for the companies that it's just all clicks. It's all clickbait. But it's clickbait. The only difference between that and real clickbait is real clickbait, the intentions are typically pure. The intentions are not pure at all when it comes to these powers of the world that are running all the shit, you know? It's usually like trying to make billions and billions of dollars, which just circulates all the people. It's just this big media company. And they use media, and that's why politics, if you've noticed, have gone so fucking out of hand the past 5-10 years. 10 years, I'd say, past decade, is with the introduction of social media. And I look at politics as like sports. To me, it's like Republican, Democrat in our country is sports. People watch it. People pick a team. People are die hard for their team. And what does that do? It makes people watch. It makes people keep up. It makes people root. And it's a fucking mess. And the same thing with sports happened where teams, people I've heard in like Barcelona, I think, and like Madrid or something, the people of those countries that are sports lovers literally do not like each other.
Oh, I know.
And it's not on a surface level figurative aspect. They do not like each other.
Well, it's also like they fight each other. Like it's a war. It's a civil war. Like even within the same country, like it's civil war with two different teams.
Yeah.
Like and I get rivalry. I do. I get, aggression in the because you and I are both very competitive, so I can see the competitive aspect of it. But it's almost like, you and I aren't really in the same sporting kind of stuff, but it's like, I'm a hockey player, and so
Me too.
good. It would be like if you and I went out there and I wanted to kill you because my team was losing. And
see, I don't know the perspective from being a player.
Oh,
I'm only talking from a fan base perspective.
I'm talking even in like a hockey situation, like even in any situation, if you and I went to like any sporting event and we were sitting next to each other and my team went up and your team was losing and I said some shit to you,
I'd be so frustrated.
You just want to kill me.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
well, if I have a lack of control over my emotions.
Yeah,
sure.
It's like, how does that happen? And like, guys, it's like it's a game, but I guess you can attach yourself to anything and make it your passion, and then you're fighting for your passion.
And I'd say sports play with people's strings a bit less than politics.
Yes.
Politics have an ability to hit emotion more than sports. So politics do exactly what they do with sports. And again, I will die for this belief. Like, I believe to the death. And I think it's obvious that if you don't think in our country that they've separated into marginal groups political views and use their media outlets like they're the same media outlets that are used in sports, you got me fucked up if you don't think that's true.
It's just like, it's obvious. If you can't agree with that, then you're blind.
And I don't think there's many people out there that disagree with me.
No.
No matter where you stand in politics, I think you're watching like, yeah, it's pretty fucked.
I was like, I don't think you can disagree.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, because what's the rebuttal?
There's no right. It's just what our country is doing.
Yeah.
And I just think it's fucking sad. And again, this was an extension of the conversation of consuming mental junk food. But I think when people get like, okay, take sports people, right? Think about how much sports those diehard sports fans consume. Like Noah, for example, is a very big sports guy. He's not by no means the biggest sports guy now. But when sports are on, Noah wants to watch them. Totally cool. Imagine that for fucking politics. And then the media outlets, instead of going over the games and what's going on in the games, they're going over a list of 100 of the worst fucking things that have happened, and 50% of them aren't even true. They're just twisted and exaggerated.
I agree, and it's just
Fuck, man.
it just kind of goes back to how sad the world is that. I think it's funny because it's how sad the world is that we're all, and I hate the term sheep. That people just blindly follow things because somebody said it, and
I think we all have that instinct in us to an extent.
We have it in us to an extent, but being able to, we're going back to the perspective thing, where
I was gonna say, dude,
you have to
in.
You have to figure out yourself and figure out your own beliefs and not be swayed. And I think it's such a hard thing to do, and it's not easy. And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, on my high horse, like I'm there, because I definitely get swayed by things.
Everyone does.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
one's.
But you have to be very, very good at knowing yourself and knowing like what your moral standpoint is, and then being comfortable with going, that's somebody else's moral standpoint. It's not what I believe, and it's not what I think is right. But if that's what you believe, I understand. Like,
Right.
that's your thing. Like, I can't understand why you believe it, but I understand that that's your belief, and I have to leave it.
I also look at it as I know a lot of gullible people
Mhm.
in the world, just people that would, and they know they're gullible.
Mhm.
People that things go right over their head, and they always go, "Oh my God, like you can't do that. I'm so gullible." Those kind of people.
Mhm.
I don't like judge them. I don't think they're stupid. Sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, damn, that's sketchy. That
It's a
gets you
hard
into some bad areas
Yep.
if you're not careful, right? That's how I look at people I disagree with most of the time in our modern day age.
Mhm.
Because typically, that's when I come in. It's just like, I wish you had a better understanding for like people's motives. You know, that's all. That's where my standpoint comes in. And I'm not just talking politics here. I'm just talking the world. But it's like, man, like just have some perspective. Have some perspective. Learn to put yourself in the shoes of the people who are doing something. Rory really wants up there.
I know.
You can really get a good understanding for somebody's intentions if you put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things too. I always like. Again, I'm really trying to not stay political here, but it's like always follow the money. Like following the money will show you the intentions of the person behind, or the organization, or whoever is behind something.
Mhm.
Money runs this fucking world.
Mhm.
Money has every person here by the balls. It's why everyone is focused on either bettering themselves or their future, their job, their careers, or stressing about. It's all money.
Mhm.
It's sad.
And I also think you have to just be so aware of yourself when you're talking about things, that because for one, I am not a very political person.
Yeah.
By any means. And so and I mean by any means.
Yeah.
I don't keep up with I know what's going on because I like to watch it for business sake. But
True, it's good. There's also like what's going on with the Nasdaq.
exactly.
Nasdaq.
I like to watch it for business sake and stuff. But
Is that what it's called, the Nasdaq?
yeah, Nasdaq. But
Nice,
it's like
dude. So stocks.
I literally just try to avoid it at all costs, just because I don't want to be the political person. And it's not like I want to just put a mask over something and just be like, oh, everything's okay. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't want to hear the bullshit, because there's 3 different sides and 3 different angles. I just want everybody to be. It's a lot to ask, and it will never happen. I just want people to get along.
Yeah.
I just want people to understand that we are all people. We are all struggling with problems. We're all in this shitstorm together right now, and for the rest of our lives, we're going to be in this shitstorm. We might as well make it work. There doesn't have to be 30 sides to things. There doesn't have to be an argument. There doesn't have to be, so much backlash. There doesn't have to be me versus you. Where does it stop and everybody come together and just go, let's figure this thing out?
Well, where did it start?
Just a fucking...
To know where it stops, you got to figure out where it started.
Exactly.
And who do you think fucking, again, going back to our sports thing, hundreds of years ago, hundreds of years ago, I'm sure Republican, Democrat, the bipartisan, that's been around for 100 plus years, right? Again, I'm no history guy, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I am.
Yeah.
But when that was created, that was, I'm sure, the intention. Or somebody saw an opportunity within that and quickly twisted it, and that's where we are today. That's why people are so split.
And I don't even know, it'd be interesting to look back and see when it became the separation, because it's probably just 2 different people with 2 different views, and then they were like, instead of trying to work it out, they basically went, let's just each have our own opinion and fight about it.
I agree, and I think when you look back when that system, the bipartisan system, was created, it wasn't nearly as separate as it is today.
No.
The beliefs were not as right now. It's just fucking opposite,
Yeah.
and
And
it's because both people think the opposition is completely full of it.
And there's emotion attached to it now.
Correct.
I feel like back then there probably wasn't emotion. Now there's such deep roots that it hits a pain point and it triggers. And it's that's not what it was about.
Emerging political parties transformed American politics between 1824 and 1840.
That's when we
So I'm
started
guessing
thinking.
around 1840, the 2-party system. So it took years for that to. I guess people with different views were probably coming,
Mhm.
and that's probably when they created a system. It's just, to me, it's just such a problem in our country.
Yeah.
And again, I enjoy talking about this because I feel like I'm not getting very political by talking about it. I think it's something. I think there's a lot of things everyone in this country agrees on.
Yeah.
You know what's a crazy thing about this country too that I've learned?
Hmm.
The entire world keeps up with what the fuck the U.S. is doing.
Yeah.
We are the most naive people, and I think it's actually other countries keep up with our country too much because, again, our country, the same way that people here go watch soccer and keep up with soccer. Like, I know people who wake up at 5 a.m. to watch soccer, which is essentially another country's sport. Like, soccer here is pretty tiny.
Yeah.
Football's the American sport, you know?
Yeah.
Our football, not their football.
Yeah. Football.
In the same way we do that, I get, bro, that is why other countries keep up with American politics. It's that sports aspect.
Oh, like, one thing that's... Because I think you and I are both blessed in the fact that we know people all over the world. You know, like, we either work with them or they're in our, you know, influencing space, creators. And we talk to them, and I've got so many friends that are in Australia that tell me, they're like, yo, we just watch your shit and laugh.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they literally
like
laugh.
It's a game.
Yeah, they laugh at our country and the shit that's being said and the things that are being done. Now, like, they have their own problems.
Oh, again, yeah, I'm not here to talk shit on America because I'm a diehard American.
No, everybody has their own problems, but, like, boy, we are literally just a TV show.
And I think we are a quite naive civilization in the sense that we know fucking nothing about these other countries.
Nothing.
The average American cannot tell me who's the president. And again, I am one of them. For the most part, cannot tell you who the president is, or the ruler is, or the dictators are.
We don't even know what the
are. Yeah. For a lot of the times, I'm like, do they have a president? Do they have a dictator? Do they have a fucking emperor? What do they have? But it's true. Like, and I only learned these things from, like, I'm French, so I understand French politics a little bit. But for the most part, it's like every country I feel like out there, kids our age, young teenagers can tell you who the standing president of the United States of America is. No fucking teenager here has any clue who's. They're like, I know who the Queen of England is. R.I.P. by the way. I just think that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that goes all the way back to my standing point where we have created a political sport in our country, which takes me all the way back to consuming mental junk food.
Yeah.
And I know we got on a huge tangent there. I think we kept it pretty non-political. People are like, no, we know your side, Jordan. Just follow the money. That's always where I'm at if you need to know my politics. Next up, we've got a lot of cool topics. Okay.
Yep.
This one's big. And I have intentions when talking about this. And I want to get a point across, and I really think if there's any pathological liars listening here, that I am able to help with a angle of perspective. I'm sure we've both dealt with pathological liars in our lives.
Yep.
I have had a couple very close friends who are pathological liars. Not saying how severe they're. I don't fucking know. I just have a really good, acute sense for lying. And some of these people that I've been friends with, I just love them to death. And they have a good heart. They're good people, and they just, I don't know. They have a sense of needing to be cool. And I want to dive into it because it's a weird concept to me. And I think a lot of people deal with it. One of the things I want to get across is, if that's you out there, and your friends, you have a bunch of friends. Maybe you have a couple friends. You're really close friends. And your intentions for doing so is to put yourself on a higher pedestal, to make yourself sound cooler, to sound better, to sound more intelligent. I'm here to tell you that most likely your friends are aware that you are like that. Like, have you ever had a friend who's a pathological liar that you didn't know is a pathological liar and then later found out is a pathological liar?
No.
No. For the most part, you can tell.
You can tell, definitely, and I think... Well, I'll let you keep going, because I know that you still got a couple points, and then we can get...
I just want to get to the main point here. It's like, I want you guys to think about this, and I want anyone who's friends with a pathological liar to think about it. I've never brought it up, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know what would happen, and I just don't feel like going down that alleyway. But I've always wanted to, you know me, I like to have really uncomfortable conversations with people sometimes. And I've gotten close where it's just like, I want those people to know that it's like, I'm friends with you. Our friendship existing right now is with me knowing that the things you're saying are not truthful most of the time. Or the small amount of times where you are stretching the truth to look better. I know you're doing it. If you didn't do it, I wouldn't think less of you. I'd think more of you. Like, I feel like people who get into this routine of lying and stretching the truth to sound better, it's like, people who are friends with you know you're doing so. And they're still friends with you. And it's not a pro. They don't think you're cooler because the things you're saying when they know you're lying. They would love you just as much if you just said the truth, if not more. And so I just like, I don't know, there's always been something, and I think it's because one of my like weird, I'd say almost a gift that I was born with is just sensing a lack of truth. Actually, it's more of a curse. I just see it all the time in people. I'm just like, bro, like, you're really cool. Like, you don't need to. What you just said does not make you any cooler, because I also know it holds no truth.
Yeah.
At face value, just like, it actually just bumped you down a little millipoint.
Mm-hmm.
A millipoint. That's a thing, by the way.
Like
I don't know. What's your experience with pathological liars? What's your thoughts on it?
I definitely think that it's a habit, and it's not even, because I feel like when you're a pathological liar, you don't go out with the intent of being a pathological liar. I feel like it starts when you're just trying to, as you said, be cool. You're trying to up your status, and it just kind of happens where you need to stretch the truth for something, or you feel the need to stretch the truth for something, and you do it. But the problem with stretching the truth is then you have to keep up with the truth.
And do you think that's where it becomes pathological, when you almost get in too deep, where you feel like you can't get out?
I feel like you get in too deep and you feel like you can't get out, but then you start believing the things that you say yourself.
True.
I think that's where
where the pathological comes in.
That's where it becomes a problem.
Probably look up the definition.
Yeah,
of the word
I think that's where it becomes a problem, because I definitely got into that when I was in high school and middle school, and just feeling not confident, and feeling like I had to better myself and be better and bigger than everybody else. Where there was periods of times in my life where it was like, and I still struggle with it sometimes. Yeah. Where something will happen.
You've told me this.
Yeah, where something will happen in my life, and the way that I describe it to somebody, I exaggerate.
Yeah, to make it sound more interesting.
Exactly,
which is almost from more of a storytelling.
It's a storytelling point, but there's like a very fine line there, and I know, and we've talked about this, where I identify it myself, where I'm like, that happened like that, absolutely, but that part wasn't that exciting.
And you told me after you say it, you're just like, why did I say it in that way?
Exactly. I'm like, that wasn't exciting, and that literally that led nothing into the story. And so it's more of that storytelling aspect where I want to keep somebody's attention.
Yeah.
But it is a habit, and
it's obsessive and compulsive.
Exactly, and I can like relate with the people, if you're out there if you are a compulsive liar. I can relate to you with a sense, not to like a jumping off point. Yeah. But I can relate to you.
And again, we've all stretched the truth a bit at some point in our lives.
Exactly. But it's like, like I said, I can kind of level with you and understand why you're doing it, but just understanding, like what you said, it's nobody cares. Like, and I think that was my turning point with it, where I was like, literally, if I slowed myself down, and if you're listening and you're a compulsive liar and you're trying to get out, the easiest way to get out of it is to slow yourself down.
Yeah.
And when you're talking, talk with actual intention, where it's, how am I benefiting this person with this story?
Correct.
Am I benefiting myself with this story? And then really thinking about what you're about to say, and if you're going to have to hold it up as truth in the end. Correct. And if it is, because the thing about truth is, it's literally effortless.
Yeah.
There's nothing you have to prove at the end of truth. And so when you, and dude, quote that shit, but like,
wow,
there literally, when it comes out, it's there. There's nothing else.
Whatever comes out, you have to hold up to that standard.
Exactly. So, and if you can't hold it, then that's a lie.
Exactly. And the more crazy the lie, now the more burden on your shoulders of this status you need to uphold that it might not be you.
And it really doesn't matter. Like, why are you trying to hold yourself to something that's not you to begin with? And that comes back to knowing yourself.
And I think if there's people out there that have been a compulsive liar for a while or a pathological liar for a while, and again, this is I'm not asking this of you. I'm just trying to shine some light on this. This is like how I've thought about in my head with the friends of mine that I've had, and have. And that's got to be a burden, a big burden on you every day. And I can understand a scenario where you get in too deep and you feel like your 5-10 year timeline consists of all these things that you've created. Dude, tell the people you love that's what's going on, and get that off. You can get all that off your shoulder in 1 second.
Yeah.
You don't need to stop lying. It'll be a real nice feeling to tell the people who already fucking know, by the way. Yeah. That's the big thing here. You're not telling them, you're not admitting to them something they don't know.
Exactly.
You're letting them know that you are aware that they know, and that you're just confessing almost, but you're not confessing because they already know.
Exactly.
Get that off your shoulders, and you don't need to worry about anything you've said. Mm-hmm. They know the truth, and it's like that could be a big realization for some people. And it's like,
yeah.
get it off your shoulders. That might be, it's a fresh start.
Yeah, and also like we love our friends and we love the people who are around us. And if you're, let's go to the people who are around the compulsive liars. Like you don't want confrontation. You don't want to call somebody on their shit, and you don't want to call somebody on their shit in front of other people.
You do want to call people on their shit, but in this circumstance, no.
In this circumstance, you want to call them on their shit, but you don't want to call them on their shit in an aggressive way, where it's you don't want to do it in front of people, you don't want to trigger something, but pulling somebody aside and saying like, that didn't sound like you.
Yeah.
Like, was that like, and be like, you can be completely honest with me, and it's just I'm just trying to watch you as a friend.
Yeah.
Was that real? And letting them kind of go, because if somebody's not getting caught, they're gonna keep doing it.
Correct.
And so I think that's like, because there's nothing worse, and it's happened to me. There's nothing worse than being caught in a lie.
Yeah.
Where you forget about it for so long, and then somebody brings it up, and you're like, I didn't even remember saying that. I didn't remember that was part of what I said.
Correct.
And then you're like, oh shit, like maybe I did say that, and then you have to remember what you said, and that's just not a good feeling. And so it's like, save somebody as a friend that burden and that hassle and that awkward moment later on, and say like, hey, like, was that real? Like,
why I've never confronted anyone about it? Because I think this concept's really in depth. Like most things you can confront someone about and figure out some way to level, and figure out a way to make them feel comfortable. This was one of those things where it's like, you don't know how deep that trail goes. Like if someone's been in this shit for a decade and they feel like they cannot get out, I don't know, I just feel like some people might put up this crazy block of like I've been caught, but I cannot be caught. And so like, what's the solution there is to push back with a decade of, it's almost like, it's just such a big burden on people that I don't know if they can just let it go like that. Like, I don't know if they'll even admit to it, because if you admit to just that one, you just like unraveled this decade of lies.
But
and
also,
that's why I've never brought it up, because it just seems like it could go really south.
But also as a friend, it's like you need to save them from, later on in life saying something to the wrong person.
I agree.
Doing it to the wrong person. And so it's like, it's, even if it does unravel something in them and they, bark back initially, you're putting it in their mind so they know, like, hey, my front's down.
Yeah.
Like, you're in, it might, like, and I think that true love of a friendship or true love of people is being able to accept when the person leaves. Being able to accept that, I love you to death, I'm going to tell you this, and if you leave, I'm okay with it, but you have to know that I'm doing this for your benefit, and if they want to walk out on you, then, first of all, that's a sign of immaturity. Secondly, it's like, you did what you could do. And not to say that your shit doesn't stink.
Yeah.
But, you have, like, as a friend, at least I would expect somebody to go, like, hey, like, that's not you.
Yeah.
That, and I'm just doing this for your benefit.
Yeah, like I said, again, it's just tough. I think it depends on, like, the extent of the person, where they're at with it. Like, and trust me, I've had the thought. It's just one of those things where it's like, again, it's tough because a lot of those people, it's like, you really care about the person. And it's like, is this thing a big enough thing to risk the friendship off of? That's the issue, I think, for me, or the relationship off of. It's like, there could be a circumstance where you say it. And again, this, you got to understand too, someone who has this innate, not ability, but like need to lie, that's going to be the easiest lie of their life. You put them on the spot and catch them on one thing, and their option is either lie or preserve the past 5-10 years. They lie anyway. They lie when they're not even put at a forefront. So then it's like, I'm gonna lie real fucking good right now. You know what I mean? Like right now is the time, if any time I've had in my life to lie is where I'm gonna lie.
But you're also, you don't know.
Again, I have no idea.
Exactly.
You're completely right.
You wouldn't really know. Like that person might need
that
catch.
I know.
That person might be waiting for that to get like, well, they're not looking for it, obviously, but they might need that fucking kick in the teeth where it's like, dude, like that's not real.
Yeah.
And like I said, you don't come at it from a point of right in that moment if there's a bunch of people around. It's that moment of pulling them aside afterwards and going, yo, like, you're better than that.
Person to person.
I know that didn't happen. I know that wasn't right. I know that wasn't real. You can confess that to me as your friend, and it won't go any further than this.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that, like, I want the best for you, and I don't think that, and you're worth more than that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also have another idea. I would love to talk about hobbies. my favorite ADHD topic out there. I feel like we get in this conversation a lot about like people trying new things, or I feel like a lot of people just get stuck or caught in their routine of work or whatever it is that they just forget to have a hobby, or a lot of people just really require a hobby. And like I was on the phone with my buddy Edwin, shout out Edwin the other day. Shout out Edwin the other day.
Shout out Edwin.
Shout out Edwin. I was on the phone yesterday actually with Edwin, and he streams.
Mm-hmm.
That's like his life. It's like planning a stream, streaming, and sleeping.
Yeah.
And we're talking. He just looked like burnt out. He's like, dude, I need a hobby. Like I need something. I'm like, dude, you do need a hobby. You cannot keep. And if your work is your hobby, that's cool. I think you should still at least go try and experiment and get yourself have some sort of disconnect from work in some regard. What are your hobbies? What are your favorite hobbies?
My favorite hobbies.
Right now, too. Not things of the past.
Yeah, no.
Because I don't have time to name my hobbies of the past.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a lot of hobbies.
I need
in the
a
past.
book for that.
Hobbies right now. I mean, we all know I love to cook.
That's good.
Cooking is one of my favorite hobbies that I do, and recipes and all of that stuff. That's definitely one of my favorite hobbies. The gym, I consider that a hobby.
Yeah, it's a hobby too.
I consider that a hobby.
Part of our job.
Part of our
to
job.
Look good.
Yep, but still, just a hobby of mine. I do love to read. I love to read, and I love to learn. I think that's a hobby that not a lot of people would actually consider a hobby, but
that's a hobby.
Just growing your mind on things that might not even be like.
It doesn't need to
relevant.
Be beneficial.
No.
It just needs to be taking in information.
Yeah, I just want the information. And
Correct.
So I think that's one of my main hobbies right now.
Oh, here we go, dude. We'll stagger it.
Okay.
This is kind of a cool little angle, dude. This looks
Uh,
fake almost.
I dig it. What's up?
We're sitting on a roof, by
Yeah.
the way. Like roof.
We can hike that.
I did hike that.
He hiked that. He was
like
up there.
the other day.
Up there.
No, I this is like one of the things I'm the most passionate about. It's like I credit a lot of where I'm at today, which is pretty much nowhere, but as a joke, to my obsessive compulsion of hobbies when I was young. Like I almost felt the need to have a hobby at all times, and where it became compulsive is probably the ADHD in me, which benefits me on a work environment of I pick up something. Maybe my friend has like, remember the little kendama things?
Yeah.
Yo-yos, all things that I've dove very deep into. I need to buy the best version of it. I need to become the best. And for a moment there, truck. Like, why are people always backing up right here consistently?
As everybody goes in reverse on the street.
And at some point in every one of my hobbies, there's a moment where I go, should I go pro at this? Should I? How far am I going to take this?
Yeah.
Because I love things so much and I get so obsessed with them. But what I've learned with hobbies is trying new things, becoming very okay with failing, being very okay with being bad at something. I heard something in a podcast recently that I thought was so cool. And it was, some people are embarrassed to try something new because they suck at it. Who the fuck would expect someone to be good at something they've never done? There's no expectation set there. The only person setting the expectation is you comparing yourself to the people who know how to do something.
Exactly. Well, it's like anything in life, you see, and it comes down to, the spark of creativity and the spark of creation, where you see something and you want to try it, but you saw somebody else do it who is a pro, and they made it look fun. They made it look exciting.
Correct.
The reason it's fun and exciting to them is because they do it every day and they've made it a part of it. You're going to get out there and not look like that. Yeah. The odds of you getting it, like let's say surfing, for instance.
Yeah, I like surfing.
Exactly. I suck at surfing.
Yeah, you do.
I do. I love watching surfing. I love watching Kelly Slater. I love watching all these guys just rip. And
Jordan
I think and it's like, I love to see it. And I just absolutely, it's phenomenal to me. And but you get almost tricked because they make it look so easy.
Yeah, they do.
They make it look so simple. And then you get out there and you get bodied by a wave. Yeah. Not once, not twice. You get bodied for like I'd say 4 to 5 hours before you stand up.
Yeah.
And then you get bodied.
And then when you stand up, you're riding this little 1 foot of whitewater, and you haven't even completed 0.5% of what Kelly Slater's doing, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
I did it! And you're like, oh wait, What did I do?
Yeah, I'm going in. I'm going to go have a fish taco and enjoy the
But again, that would be a lack of perspective to say,
Exactly.
oh, I'll never be Kelly Slater. Oh, I suck at surfing. This is nothing like what I expected it to be. If you switch your perspective and be open to the fact that that is going to happen to everyone.
Yeah.
Some people might have a bigger inclination to improve than you do, but it's not going to be massive. No one's going to get out there for the first time and start ripping around on a wave. Nobody.
No.
And having that realization in any hobby, not just surfing, to pick something up and go, okay, I'm going to suck at this, but the first time that I feel any sort of success, it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a person down there. It's just my dog. Just my dog.
What's that, dog?
And I think that's just a stereotype that people have in their heads that they just have believed their whole life, where it's like, I don't want to do something I suck at.
Yeah.
And so they don't try anything. And it's because this belief that people are going to judge them for sucking. The only person who's judging you for sucking at something is you. Because you have this false expectation that you should be good at something you've never done before.
Exactly.
I just think that's a fucking awesome concept for people to learn.
100%.
And then that leads to people doing hobbies. And more hobbies, people need to try shit.
Yeah.
That's like one of my biggest things I believe in. It's like, try new things.
100%.
Not food, because that's scary, but try new things. You know
Try
what I mean?
new food.
I was kidding. I try things sometimes.
Try it all.
Unless it's cream cheese or sour cream.
Well, you've tried it.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I've tried it in things. If I try something in things, it's enough for me to know I don't want it in my life, you know? Like, you put sour cream in one burrito, I'm good. I know I don't like sour cream.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know it was in there, and now I know it's in there.
It's always, that kind of stuff always like fascinates me and baffles me, because it doesn't baffle me, but it's funny to think about, is you're so against sour cream. They just don't like it.
It's the dumbest concept.
You just don't like it. But there is somebody out there, it is one of their favorite flavors.
It's like me with ranch.
Exactly. It's one of their favorite flavors. They'll order it with anything,
Yep.
put it on anything. And you look at each other, and it can kind of almost go back to our first conversation where, you know, you feel so strongly about somebody else is going to feel just as strongly the other
Correct.
way. But it's like, I can't tell you what you like.
And there is that sense of feeling that, like, you're an idiot. I'm right.
Yeah.
Sour cream sucks. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you don't like sour cream.
Yeah.
That is an opinion. Therefore, you are wrong no matter what you say right now.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I agree with that. It's like, and I think as long as you realize it's okay, like, we get in talks all the time. Kane sucks.
Yeah.
I love it. There is this sense of like, oh, I'm going to stick it to you. But
Yeah.
we'll never stick it to each other because
No.
you don't like it and I do.
Yeah.
And that will never change based off what you tell me, and it'll never change vice versa. And it's
Exactly.
funny. It's banter, but it's like, I think that does translate in our life where there are circumstances where two people are arguing about something that you will never sway. It's an opinion.
And it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's just like that funny moment of like, why are we arguing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to get nowhere.
Exactly.
And I do think there's also a circumstance where it's one person who hasn't tried something, and then that's just the lack of being open to trying something, and now you're being stubborn and you're holding to your opinions too much. It's like if there's a food, I'm not going to have an argument about like caviar with you, about how gross caviar is. I've never had caviar.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not going to swear that it's disgusting. I've never had it because then I'm going to be like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
What am I arguing about?
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, just having that realization that if you're ever arguing about something that you're like, maybe I haven't tried, and I'm a very opinionated person too. I know that about me, which is a bad and a good thing. And so I will catch myself sometimes in not arguments. So just, this can't be an argument if there's no facts.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I think I do it through humor. I think it's funny to have a strong opinion on something and back it and use humor to make it funny.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I'm just like, oh, chill out, Jordan.
I also think it's funny when people have an opinion on something that they haven't tried, they haven't dove into, and then you get them to try it once, and you get to watch them
The
change.
satisfaction of watching them go,
Yeah.
oh, fuck.
It's not even the satisfaction. It's more of the bliss of finally you can level with me.
Yeah.
You know, like, and a small one with you.
Food. Yeah.
Is the.
I was gonna say, me and you have had a couple of those.
Yeah,
sometimes.
where it's like it's the Greek yogurt thing, or it's the thing because I eat very low calorie, you know, like options a lot of the time, and that's just
We had no idea.
yeah.
We thought you ate like shit, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. And I eat very, very clean and very, very healthy. And so when people see the way I eat, they're like, "There's no way that's gonna be good. Like,
Yeah.
how do you stay like that?" And it's like, I really think
I
that
think
a lot
this
of
is
stuff.
great.
I think a lot of them taste good. You know, I honestly do. And so when people see that, they're like, "No, there's no way." But then you get somebody to try one of the things that I'm doing, and not to say that everything I eat is some of the stuff I eat, I don't even think anybody would like. I just like it. I have a taste for it. But like when somebody tries it and I see like them go full
The little
bore
spark
into it,
in their eye?
yeah, and they're just like, I could eat this and it becomes like one of their favorite things.
Now we agree.
Now we
Now
agree.
I understand what you were trying to
Exactly.
express at some point.
Exactly.
I think the same thing happened with like Star Wars TV shows. I was never really into Star Wars TV shows. I'm not a big fan, and still I'm not a big fan of when movie conglomerates start series. For example, every Marvel series I've ever seen is absolute dog shit, and I'm the biggest Marvel fan in the world. And so for me, I have this terrible taste in my mouth that Marvel series sucks. So when a new one comes out, I'm like, I'm not watching it. Star Wars is kind of the same way. Something with these awesome movies where I'm like, oh, like, how are they going to compete with this smaller budget and this time frame? And we were watching Andor, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it almost feels as if the production and the acting and the money is almost the same as Star Wars. And so, yeah, it's being more open-minded, I think, which is always a good thing in this world.
Yeah.
Which
is hard to do in a in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
And you have to admit that.
We all practice it.
100%.
No one's fully open-minded, or else we'd all get along.
Exactly.
And again, I think there is some benefit to being opinionated in your beliefs, holding strong in your beliefs and your values. I think if everyone was too open-minded, their values would get mixed up because you'd be open to this person's values and this person's values and this person's values, and if you're hanging out with 3 serial killers, your values might be altered a little bit.
You're a little bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that's, like, we killed that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah.
They're all sick. I mean, we end up saying that they're sick, but...
We have so much more to talk about at the end of every single one of them.
It's so easy to think. I know, I have, like, 5 more topics. I just, like, I want more coffee.
I do too.
And I was like, podcast, super fun. 2 dudes and a sunrise. Coffee.
Yeah.